Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Now I'm here to talk about camera rigs, specifically for the GH6. Now I started this video out yesterday and it's taken a bit of a turn because yesterday Lumix announced that they were releasing Blackmagic RAW capability to the GH6 to an external recorder like the Blackmagic Video Assist 12G. So I got excited about that and thought maybe I can build a bit of a RAW capture rig for the GH6 and check out what that's all about. And then as I went down the process, it just got me thinking about different cameras, use cases, what the strengths of the GH6 are compared to other cameras. And it really got me thinking about the direction I wanted to go with a GH6 rig. So anyway, let's jump to yesterday when this announcement was made, and you can see my current GH6 rig. And then I'll take you through the process of what happened from there. So anyway, let's jump back to yesterday. I really wanted to make this video because this morning, I woke up and I was very excited to see that Lumix has just released the firmware, just about to release, the firmware that is going to allow BRAW recording on the GH6. Now, I've been waiting for this for a long time. And it's been able to do ProRes RAW for a long time, and a lot of people love that, and it's a great way to go. But I work with Resolve all the time. I have a video assist. So I've been waiting for this because I've got everything I need to get started, and I thought, why not? It's on all these other Lumix cameras, and it took them a while, but now it's finally going to be available for the GH6 in just under a week's time. So I'm definitely going to be jumping on board with that, and I'm going to show that at the end of the video, just how we get along. But what I had to really think about now, and I've got a week to do it, is what are we going to do about the rig? Because if you want to shoot RAW with the GH6, doesn't do it internally like the Blackmagics, so we're going to have to think about what type of rig we're going to need. So I thought I'd start off by introducing the current rig, which is this guy here. So the current iteration of the rig switches up depending on the needs of the job. But this is a good run and gun setup. We've got a V-Lock battery here, which is the FX Lion. FX Lion 2 does a great job, powers the camera all day. When I am using the GH6 just on its own, sort of naked, or just with the monitor on top, I do use this on a belt clip that I got from Small Rig, and a longer one of these guys, USB-Cs, and it just does a great job. I don't have to worry about batteries for the whole day. But that's what's powering the rig at the moment. We've got the Shinobi monitor, which is great. I originally got this because my Blackmagic Video Assist 7-inch was just too bloody heavy for the way I was running at the moment, especially on like a gimbal or a smaller handheld setup without the full rig. So this guy's really light. This is a great monitor if you want a really light monitor in your setup. Makes it a lot easier for handheld work. And obviously powered by the Sony battery there. What else have we got on here? We've got the XLR adapter, which we can put our shotgun mics or our lapel mics into. We've got an onboard mic here, which I don't use very often, but it's there if you need some location sort of on-camera sound. We've got the new Leica 10-25, which I've just got, which is going to be great for our run and gun video in the future. I've done no jobs with it yet. No jobs with it. My last 12-35 broke, just stopped focusing, and that was my sort of workhorse for the last 10 years. Bought it secondhand 10 years ago. So that's telling you something. I definitely got my money's worth, had a good run, but decided to step up to the 10-25 Leica. So we've obviously got the top handle here, which allows for the XLR adapter, which is really great. You can adjust the height of that. We've also got, what else have we got? We've got the Nissi variable ND, which is fantastic. The color is great. We've got 1 to 5 stops here. Does an amazing job. When I am using my cinema lenses, the SLR Magic Cine lenses, I'll often use, sometimes this, but often use a matte box with the IRNDs from Nissi, the full cinema filters, which are great and actually the highest quality. So if I'm actually going for the highest quality and I've got the time to set things the way I want it, then that's what I go for. But this is great in most circumstances and for run and gun action. what we have here on the GH6 compared to other iterations is the tilty flippy screen tilts up now without having to be flipped out to the side. So that's great in this setup because you can angle it up so that when you're doing your business, you can just glance down and it's in a good spot for you to see all of your information. So that's fantastic. Really balanced setup, as you can see, and pretty light actually. So what I love about the GH6 is just you've got all the controls, you've got so many custom buttons and everything like that, and I feel like when you rig things out, sometimes you lose the simplicity. You know, if you've got a side handle or you're always using up here, you're losing all of these buttons, which are really great for toggling things on and off, moving quickly. So I'll often hold it by the traditional grip, have the battery up against my chest like this, so we can shoot this way. We can hold a little bit higher, we can hold a little bit lower. If we want a really low angle, then we've got the top handle if we need it. But it's just really good, and with the stabilization on the GH6, it really helps. When I had the Blackmagic 4K in this setup, and I still use it, I often had to have the full shoulder rig in order to get stable footage, and from there it worked great, and I do love it. But really good that we can have a bit more flexibility with the GH6. Anyway, that's the current rig. I'm just introducing that because as I said, I'm going to have to be rethinking the rig if I'm going to be shooting Blackmagic RAW, because we're going to have the big heavy 7-inch behemoth on top of this guy, which, you know, it's going to be interesting. That's why I got this, because it was too heavy. But let's have a bit of an explore. I'm going to have a bit of a play around now, and we'll come back and see if we can get a rig that's going to keep us happy, basically. Let's check it out. So as you can see, I was all keen to get stuck into putting together my Blackmagic rig. Now, the original problem that I had with the Blackmagic Video Assist never went away. I mean, look at this honking chunk of awesomeness, but man, big, heavy, crazy, all right? So it's a big, bright monitor. It's built like an absolute tank out of metal. It is absolutely fantastic, except that it's huge, it's heavy, and it throws your handheld rig out of balance. Here's a little pic, check this out, of sort of the first stage, which was basically just adding the monitor to the existing rig, and you can see how front heavy it is, and you know, it's exactly what happened last time, so we knew we had to think through it again. So I wish I got some more footage of how the different iterations went together, but it was basically just me up in my office going a little crazy and trying different things out like a mad scientist. But let me just give you a quick look actually. So here is the camera without the big rig on it. Sorry, the exposure's going up and down. I'm outside, who cares? So let me just show you what this looks like straight on top of the camera. Because as you can see, it was very front heavy. We had to get kind of high. So I thought the Blackmagic has some XLR inputs on the side, so I don't necessarily need this XLR adapter, okay? And so then we can get the camera monitor lower, so there's a lower center of gravity, all right? And so here it is. Now, this is just, I mean, it's great. That monitor is fantastic, but it is just all monitor, this whole rig here, right? And so you can imagine having the battery on the back here and all of that there. And it was kind of good, but I thought this is how I'm going to have to put together a RAW rig. I've got this monitor upside down. Anyway, this is how I'm going to have to put it together perhaps. But then you run into the issue, like when you're shooting by yourself especially, you always need to record sound. And you know, you can do dual system sound, but you're going to need something going on. It's always easier as a one-man band to have it all in the one recording, in the one camera setup. So I would need to mount the XLR adapters somewhere, the receivers for the lapels, or somewhere to run things in. So then you're going to have to think through where you're going to mount that. And that's fine. I've got a few mounting points here. But then we're going to have all these cables here and everything. And just after shooting with it for a little bit, just having a bit of a muck around, I realized, look, this is really heavy. And I just thought, what am I doing? What are the strengths of the GH6 and where am I going? So it just got me thinking. Let me take this off for a second. Now to me, the strengths of the GH6 are the fact that it has great in-body stabilization. Usually when you've got a handheld rig, in order to get steady handheld footage, you need to make your rig heavy, and you do that by building it out, just like we've got here on the Blackmagic camera. All right, it's got some weight to it, it's got some heft, it's got some spots you can hug it in, and a few different contact points. That's how you get it going, all right? With the GH6, you've got stabilization built in, so you don't need to make the camera rig heavy, all right? You want to be able to, shoot it all day, all right? So you can run around with something like this, and I just started thinking, really, what do I need on this? I need some XLR inputs. So if we just chuck on that guy there, we've got the XLR inputs for our lapel mics, or if we're going to have a shotgun set up somewhere, we can run them straight in. And with the 4-channel sound on the GH6, we can still have our on-camera mic running in, record all of that. Okay, so now this rig it's got everything I need except for the large screen. And I just started thinking, like, how badly do I need that large screen in a lot of situations? And does that outweigh the weight benefits or the cost of the extra weight? And the more I thought about it, it's like, I don't think it does. I think the strengths of this is as a run and gun hybrid camera. And by building it out into something like this, we're essentially kind of negating a lot of those benefits. And as I said before, you've got all of these great hands-on controls right here on the grip, where we can quickly change white balance, ISO, we can have some function buttons for turning dynamic range boost on and off, we can toggle on and off the focus peaking, we can do all of this stuff really quickly. And when it's small like this as well, with a lens that I don't have geared up here with a follow focus and everything, we've got zoom, iris on the lens, as well as focus, and we can just rest our hand under there. Everything's just very nimble. All right, and with the screen here on the GH6 that we can tilt up, we can turn the brightness up, and that gets us out of trouble a lot of the time. And if you are in a really sunny environment, we can tap that down. We've got the EVF, which works really well. So in trying to make the Blackmagic RAW rig out of the GH6, it really just turned my thinking around to think, different tools for different jobs, right? I thought, this is the kind of rig that I want for doing a lot of social media content, some run around documentary kind of stuff, somewhere where I want a light rig that I'm shooting with all day, but I want top quality. I can shoot some small file sizes, so I can fit a lot more on the card, all of that kind of thing, but I've still got the high quality audio input, I've still got the high quality lenses and recording options in the GH6. We've got great stabilization. We've got all of those things, and this can fit in a backpack like the Wandered Provoke backpack that I've got here. We can take all of that around with us. We're very nimble, and we can get done what we need to get done. And maybe this is the kind of setup that I want to use on jobs where that's going to be an advantage. And for those times that you do want your full rig, we're using cinema lenses, follow focus, we're doing things a bit differently. That's why I've went back to here, and I've got the Blackmagic set up again in that rig like we had yesterday with the GH6. But this thing kind of thrives in this environment, right? It thrives on being rigged out. It doesn't have stabilization, so you need to kind of rig it out. It doesn't have great battery life, so you need that additional battery there. We can put SSD recording on top here, which the GH6 has as well. But just, this is actually a really decent setup. It's not too heavy. We can chuck it on a shoulder rig. But the beauty of this is that with the larger bags, like the 10 Cinema bag, we can leave this completely set up, all right? As it is, drop it in the bag, pull it out, we're ready to go. But when we need something more nimble, we've got the GH6 here ready to go in that context. So rather than trying to make the one camera the everything for every job, it's just brought me back to the mindset of having different tools for different jobs. I'm going to leave the Blackmagic fully rigged with this setup and the GH6 in this more manageable setup where we can drop XLR inputs on and off. We can chuck it on a gimbal if we want. It's handheld, it's compact to take around, and use it for the strengths that it has. If I have the GH6 in a rig like this, and then I want to take it out, I've got to take it all apart and everything to put in the backpack, then I've got to build it up for another job. If I leave this built, and I leave this as sort of the run and gun quick option, we've got the best of both worlds. Now, of course, the other option would be to get a second GH6 and leave it rigged up like this, but I really like the Blackmagic Pocket. I like the image that it has. I like the options that it's got built in, false color, all of this stuff that works really well for when you're really going for that high production value. Obviously, the monitors have false color and different things built in, but the thing I really like about it when working with external monitors in this setup, and this brings me to the next point about how the GH6 plays with external monitors and all the rest of it. And I know this is a long video, but this is just, it's called Rig Talk for a reason, right? We're having a chat. So when I use the Blackmagic with external monitors, okay, I basically just use everything that's in the camera and just use this as a bigger monitor that's brighter, that I can flip around, because it has great focus peaking, it has false color, it has everything I need in camera, all right? And I just want to be able to see it bigger, brighter, and where I want it, okay? The GH6 has good exposure tools too, okay? It's got focus peaking, it's got waveforms, all of that kind of thing. The problem that I have with it is, for one, when shooting in Vlog, the focus peaking, for some reason, the focus peaking is not as good on the external monitor, on the HDMI out. It will rather, you know, if you look on the back here, you've got all the focus points. On the external monitor, it's like it's at half strength. It doesn't have all of the focus peaking points that the monitor on the back does. They're harder to see. They're very inconsistent. They sometimes show up, so they sometimes don't. So I'm then needing to use the focus peaking that's in the monitor. And the problem with that, when you're in a run and gun situation, is that I like to be able to switch on and off focus peaking quickly. So if I'm looking for a shot, I can get it there. I've got a function button where I can tap it on, gain focus, tap it off so I can just see my image, how it's going to actually look. And if I need it again, tap it on, focus, tap it off. That's how I need to run, all right? When I've got the Ninja, not the Ninja, the Shinobi, we need to tap the screen to bring up the menu. Then we've got to tap it on. And then if we want to see the full image, we've got to tap it off again. And some people will say, that's only a couple of seconds, what's the big deal? Well, for me, the touchscreen isn't the most responsive, so it doesn't work every time. And even those couple of seconds, it takes you out of the moment when you're trying to shoot, when you're in that run and gun setup where you're trying to get a job done. Having a function button where you can just tap it on, tap it off, and just keep moving, it keeps you in that flow, and it's actually, it's pretty important for that kind of thing. So again, with the Blackmagic, we don't have those issues with focus peaking. It's exactly the same as it is when you're looking at the back of the camera. And we've got the 3 function buttons at the top where we can tap it on, tap it off, and it just works as it should. The other issue with the HDMI out on the GH6 is the lag. There is a slight lag which is introduced, which makes, you know, when you're manually focusing or when you're panning, just that fraction of a second that it's lagging behind can become a real issue. And that doesn't happen here on the Blackmagic. It's pretty instant. So I think if you have audio on as well, that makes the lag even worse. And obviously if you're recording RAW to an external recorder, you're going to need that audio on if you're recording audio, whether that's going to be scratch audio or your real audio. So that's going to introduce that bigger lag. So it's just another one of those things where I thought different things for different uses. All right. I think the HDMI out on the Blackmagic, it's only 1080p. It's really meant for just sort of like a monitoring or a quick live streaming kind of thing. It's not meant for recording to an external recorder. because it can't do 4K. I don't know what the bit rate's like or whatever. So it really is that that's designed just for monitoring, I think. And whereas this is designed to get that full quality out. And maybe that's what introduces the lag and may have the issues there. But anyway, those are the things that informed this kind of decision. So just to recap, the Blackmagic's going to say rigged out for this kind of setup, for shoots where I need this kind of flexibility or this kind of rig. And this is going to be the guy for that throw in the bag, high quality but light, run around all day. Has the smaller codecs you can shoot, which is great for social media when you're handing off to people or you just need to shoot a lot of content. And I think that's going to be the setup for the foreseeable future. So there you go. I'm not making a Blackmagic RAW rig at this stage for the GH6. The internal codecs are fantastic, all 10-bit. Just the codecs that you get in the GH6 are fantastic. They don't crop the sensor. We've got internal ProRes when you need it. I can pair these guys up shooting in log and match them up in post. So we can have a A/B cam set up. And it's great. So thanks for listening to my rambling. You can see I'm getting darker here. As I said, I'm outside. It's getting brighter, it's getting darker, whatever. But thanks for joining me and catch you on the next one. So here he is, the video professional, underexposed with blown out highlights. Whatever, it's YouTube, deal with it. Son, come on, hook us up, bro. It's all about the content. It's about what I'm saying.